The stakes couldn't be higher for both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, who are in a very tight race. The latest Real Clear Politics polling average shows Hillary Clinton with a narrow lead nationally, while a new Fox News poll shows Donald Trump ahead in the key swing states of Nevada, North Carolina, and Ohio. So what do the candidates need to do Monday night to move those numbers? Let's ask Wall Street Journal, Potomac Watch columnist Kim Strassel, Main Street columnist Bill McGurn, editorial board member Joe Rago, and assistant editorial page editor James Freeman. So, Kim, let's just set the stage here first. Do you agree that Hillary Clinton is slightly ahead here in the election?
Yeah, I think that there's no doubt. And she, has been, by and large, this entire race. But what we're seeing is this interesting change where she seems to be getting a little bit of bump in national polls just in the last week, whereas Donald Trump seems to be tightening things, even moving ahead in some very key swing states. All
right, so let's start with Mrs. Clinton. What does she need to do to stay ahead and move those numbers up for her?
So this debate, I think, is going to come down to one issue, and that is, can Donald Trump look presidential? She has made this the core of her campaign. She hasn't spent a lot of time talking about her own agenda. She's instead tried to make it all about whether or not, make the argument that he is unfit to be president. And she's going to try and do that at the debate. She's going to try and outrun him on facts and policy, maybe a couple of gotcha moments. Just in general try to make him look incompetent. And the question is going to be, can he parry those and in some way try to change that portrait that she has painted of him? Okay, but Bill, the idea is that she's premised her whole campaign, as Kim said, on the fact that Trump is unacceptable,
right,
unfit. Does that mean she's going to try to needle him, bait him, get him to blow up?
Well, I think that would be her hope. Look, people are going to be watching.
But is that going to be her strategy?
Well, it depends. The stories say that she's preparing for a lot of different Donald Trumps, and Republicans are hoping the Mexico Donald Trump is going to show up.
When he showed up, that's where he met the Mexican president.
And this is a huge opportunity and a danger for both of them because it's a big moment, and people are going to be watching this the way they watch a Mike Tyson fight, hoping someone's going to get their ear chewed off. And Donald Trump, I think, if you look at the who question is, who's he trying to appeal to? And I think it's Republicans who don't like Mrs. Clinton, but haven't made up their minds about him because they think he can't be trusted.
Right, but I want to talk, James, about Mrs. Clinton because I think she is going to try to have Donald Trump erupt if he can, if he does, if he takes the bait. But also, her strength is experience, knowledge. I mean, there's no way in the world that Donald Trump is going to outdo Hillary Clinton when it comes to knowledge about the Syrian battlefront, okay, or any of these details. Who the prime minister of Ukraine is. Is that smart for her to play that card?
Yeah, I mean, she should have the advantage. She's spent a whole career doing this. Obviously, first off, number one, she has to remain standing through the debate.
Oh, come on, that's a cheap shot.
Beyond that, I think
that's a
really
cheap shot.
that is her hope here, is that she shows over the course of an hour and a half, without a whole lot of people on the stage, just the two of them, that she can sustain a fact-filled policy argument, and he can't, and he's really not in the major leagues.
So you expect her to try to do that?
I would think.
What about Trump? What does he have to do, Joe? What do you think he has to do here?
Look, I think he has to start to normalize himself. If you look at the polls, there are a lot of undecided voters, and a lot of that is a question about whether Trump has the character and temperament to be president. So I think if he gets up there, if he's magnanimous, controlled, I think that perception of him, people might start to look at him and say, oh, he could be a plausible president.
That's the Mexican Trump.
Yeah, and I think Joe's right. I would go further. He can't beat Mrs. Clinton in knowledge and experience and about political parties. He ought to concede that up front because the issue isn't whether Mrs. Clinton knows more about Iraq or Libya. It's her judgment and the policies that she's associated with. I think it would be wise for him to concede her superior knowledge about the world and how it is and just get into, but this is the same woman that gave us Libya and some of the other
But what
disasters.
about going after on Benghazi, for example, on the emails, on the Clinton Foundation? That could make him look like he's not cool and restrained.
Right. I think baseline, he needs to show he's got the head and heart to be president. You want to see that kind of even-tempered person with judgment, but I think the real home run ball for him, not to try and fill his head with a lot of statistics, is to recognize he has a lot of good facts. And if he can just say, for example, talk about the economy, declining productivity for 3 straight quarters, hasn't happened since the 1970s, instead of just saying it's a disaster. You know, I think, so if he can work some of that in,
right.
My tax plan cuts your taxes by trillions, she raises them by $1.5 trillion. I think he's got a lot of good facts, and you don't want to turn him into someone he's not, but that for him, I think, is the real upside, because people don't expect that.
Kim, what about the moderator and the role of the moderator? Should the moderator be, as a lot of people are saying, a fact checker? Oh, sorry, Mrs. Clinton, you're wrong there.
Absolutely not. This is called a debate. These are supposed to be the two candidates conflicting with each other. And so the idea here is he should just completely remove himself from that entire question. He should say so up front. Say, if somebody says something and you disagree, come out and say where they're wrong, because this is supposed to be the debate between the two of them. If he inserts himself in this, he ends up making this debate about himself rather than about their answers.
All right, Joe, just to finish up here, I want to ask, Ted Cruz endorsed Donald Trump at the Republican convention, pointedly not doing so to not a great reaction. Why do you think Cruz turned now?
Look, this is a much closer race than it was in July at the convention, when it was sort of cost-free for Cruz to decline to endorse him in a very big way.
So he thought then Trump was going to get blown out.
Right, and I think he thought that he's going to get the blame if Trump loses very narrowly 1 or 2 points. Everybody's going to say, well, what about these holdouts here? Cruz, most prominent among them.
Okay, all right, thanks, Joe.